Hi guys and welcome to Crazy Pepper Revenge. This channel is all about crazy true stories, stuff that happens in real life when things get a little bit messy, people dealing with drama, cheating, lies, breakups, and even revenge. Some stories are wild, some are emotional, but all of them will keep you watching. If you like real talk and real situations, you're in the right place. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and stick around. This is Crazy Pepper Revenge, where the stories get spicy.
Betrayal has a price, and you'll pay for every second.
When I walked into my house after work, still in my dusty work clothes with keys in hand, boots leaving smudges on the welcome mat, my wife Emily didn't give me a warm greeting or even a fake polite hello. Just four blunt words shot at me like bullets. I want a divorce. She was leaning against the kitchen counter with that smug half smirk, arms crossed, wearing this arrogant expression that always set my teeth on edge. "Excuse me?" I said, stunned. My heart rate spiked so fast I could feel my pulse hammering in my ears. For months, we'd been arguing, bickering about bills, daily chores, and our 4-year-old Lucy's bedtime, but never did I imagine this nuclear option. We've been married for 5 years, together for 7. I've provided for us, paid the bills, mortgage, Lucy's daycare, groceries, everything. Emily huffed, flipping her hair off her shoulder like she was in some shampoo commercial. What, you deaf now?" she sneered. "I'm done, okay? I'm over this crap. I talked to my lawyer. It's official." She said it with such casual arrogance that it made my stomach twist. "Emily, can we talk for a second? We have a child." "You can't just—" She cut me off with a snort. "A child? Yeah, Lucy's 4 and she's more mature than you sometimes. Listen, I'm not going to sit here playing the good wife while you do whatever you want, ignoring all my needs. I have a plan and it's happening. No more arguments." Her tone was laced with contempt, like I was some low-level employee she was about to fire. My mind flashed back to our wedding day, how she beamed at me in that white dress. Now she felt like a completely different person. She pulled papers from a manila envelope and slapped them against my chest. "Here, read these, sign them, then get out of my way. I need the house, the car, and I'll be filing for child support." I stared at her in disbelief. "You want me out on the street?" She gave this mocking little laugh, cold and hollow. "Not my problem. If you want to slum it in some crappy apartment, go ahead. But Lucy's staying with me. I'll expect child support on the 1st of every month. No excuses." I skimmed through the documents. Divorce petition, custody arrangement limiting me to every other weekend. "Emily, that's ridiculous." "Lucy and I—" She fixed me with a glare that sent chills down my spine. "Lucy and you what? You're never around anyway. Always working late, always complaining you're tired. You think you're father of the year or something?" She leaned forward, voice dropping to a scornful hush. "I'm done catering to your schedule. Lucy's my daughter, and if you can't keep up, that's on you. I'm not signing anything right now," I said, voice cracking. "I need to talk to my own lawyer first." Emily heaved a dramatic sigh, clapping slowly in mock applause. "Wow, big man gonna lawyer up. Good luck affording one." She pointed a manicured finger at my chest. "This is happening. I'm done with your lazy A, and Lucy, she's staying with me. You can get her every other weekend." Maybe. A few days later, I was on the phone with attorney Tim, recommended by a coworker. We set up a consultation. Tim was a wiry man in a slightly wrinkled suit, but his handshake was firm. "Divorce, child support, custody," he said, tapping his pen on a yellow notepad. "Happens all the time." He explained that the spouse with primary custody usually gets the house, especially if the court believes it's best for the child's stability. Standard arrangement, I'm afraid. But we can fight for more time if you have a strong case. Meanwhile, Emily made home life absolute hell. She was in full Queen of the Castle mode, ignoring me unless it was to deliver some scathing remark. She packed half my stuff into boxes, stacking them in the garage like I'd already moved out. The tension was thick enough to choke on. She mocked me constantly. "Can't handle the stress, big guy," and sneered when I read Lucy bedtime stories. "Oh, look who finally has time to tuck his kid in." I took to sleeping on an inflatable mattress in our makeshift office. Every day felt like punishment. Yet, ironically, Emily hadn't forced me out completely. I think part of her enjoyed lording her power over me, like she wanted to watch me squirm before finally showing me the door. The stress completely destroyed my work performance. I'd been at this job for 15 years, and suddenly everything was falling apart. The constant arguments at home, taking time off for court appointments, the sleepless nights on that damn air mattress, it all piled up. My boss missed her. Grant pulled me aside one day. "Your performance is slipping, man. What's the story?" I explained about the nasty divorce, custody battles, the works. "I'm trying to keep it together," I said, rubbing the back of my neck. He shook his head. "I get that you're going through it, but we have a business to run. Clients are complaining about deadlines. You got to step it up or we'll have to let you go." Inside, I was panicking. Balancing Lucy's care, the confrontations with Emily, and my workload became impossible. My exhaustion showed in sloppy proposals and missed deadlines. I forced a smile and told him I'd get back on track. But as weeks passed, it only got worse. Finally, the axe fell. Mr. Grant called me into his office one Friday, not smiling. "I'm sorry. We're terminating your position, effective immediately." My heart dropped into my stomach. "You can't, please. I just need a little more time." "We've given you weeks. We need someone fully committed. Clean out your desk." I walked out in a daze, tears of frustration stinging my eyes. I boxed up my photos of Lucy, my few personal items. Colleagues stared, some giving sympathetic nods. I felt like I'd been dragged underwater and couldn't breathe. Losing my job made everything infinitely worse. I could barely pay the mortgage and bills, let alone child support. Emily was triumphant when she heard I was unemployed. "Oh, you lost your precious job? I guess you're even more worthless now." "Good luck paying child support with zero income, genius." When I finally ran out of savings and couldn't make a payment, Emily called, cussing me out. "Where's my money?" "Don't you dare ignore me." "I'm trying," I stammered, sweat beading on my forehead. "I just got an interview. I'll figure something out, but I need more time." Her sneer was audible through the phone. "More time, my A. I told you I'd make life hell if you messed with my finances. I'm done playing." Days later at 6 a.m., furious pounding on my door. 2 cops arrested me for unpaid child support while neighbors peeked through windows, watching me get handcuffed and escorted to a squad car. Because it was a weekend, I couldn't see a judge until Monday, so I spent 2 nights in a holding cell that smelled like sweat and bleach. The judge barely looked at me in my orange jumpsuit. Non-payment of child support. Repeated warnings. "I'm sentencing you to 5 months in county detention center." 5 months for losing my job and missing payments. My court-appointed lawyer tried arguing hardship, but the judge was unmoved. That's the law. County jail was an absolute nightmare. Crowded dormitory with 50 other men. The smell of unwashed bodies, stale food, and disinfectant assaulting my nose constantly. I bunked with a guy who nodded at me but didn't bother making conversation. The background noise never ended. Shouting, coughing, random footsteps echoing off concrete walls. My anxiety was at a permanent high. I kept my head down, did what I was told, tried not to make waves. The clang of metal doors opening and shutting echoed in my head day and night. But at night, when everything finally quieted down, my thoughts absolutely tore at me. Emily's smug face crept in, mocking me for failing to pay. Lucy's sweet smile haunted me. Not knowing why Daddy just disappeared one day, I felt this toxic mix of sorrow and rage churning in my gut. How did my life spiral so completely out of control so fast? All I did was lose my job during a rough economy while trying to care for my daughter. 3 weeks in, I got a letter that would change everything. I recognized the return address. Brandon, an old buddy who used to come to our barbecues before we drifted apart. We'd lost touch a couple years ago. My hands shook as I tore open the envelope. The noise in the block was loud as usual. Some guys arguing over card games, others just trying to survive another day. But I tuned it all out. Brandon's words hit me like a sledgehammer to the chest. He was sorry he'd kept quiet for so long, but he couldn't take the guilt anymore. Emily had been cheating on me for years with a guy named Cole, apparently since before Lucy was even born. He suggested I get a paternity test because there was a very real chance Lucy might not actually be mine biologically. I could hardly breathe. My heart slammed against my ribcage so hard I thought it might burst. I reread those devastating sentences over and over. "Emily has been with Cole forever. She bragged about how she had you paying for everything while she lived her double life. I think you seriously need a DNA test, man." "Sorry I didn't tell you sooner." Images flashed through my mind. Emily's secretive phone calls. Those nights she claimed she was running late at the store. The weird tension with certain male coworkers. Now it all made sense. If Lucy wasn't even mine, I'd been paying child support and going to jail for a child Emily tricked me into raising. My release day finally arrived. The sunlight felt blinding after months inside. I had no job, no savings, no house, but I had a plan. Get a paternity test and make Emily face the truth. I met lawyer Daniel in his small, cluttered office. "This is serious," he said after I explained everything. "If Lucy isn't yours, Emily committed fraud. You have grounds to sue for damages, possibly recoup child support. We can request a court-ordered paternity test immediately." The test day came. Emily arrived with Lucy, looking haughty as ever in designer sunglasses. As soon as Lucy saw me, her face lit up. "Daddy!" she cried, rushing into my arms. Emotion clawed at my chest as I hugged her tight, inhaling that strawberry scent from her shampoo. In the hallway afterward, Emily cornered me. "What? You think you're clever dragging us here for a stupid test?" "You're wasting your time. If Lucy's mine, I have every right to be in her life. If she isn't, I deserve to know." Her lip curled. "You're such a pathetic loser. Even if the test says what you want, you can't afford child support anyway." 2 agonizing weeks later, the results came. I sat on my friend's back step and carefully opened the envelope. The clinical language stared back. 0.0% probability of paternity. Lucy wasn't mine. The world blurred as I reread it, praying for a mistake. But science doesn't lie. I called Daniel, voice trembling. "She's not mine. I want to go after Emily for fraud, emotional distress, everything. She can't get away with this." Court day arrived and my stomach was churning with nerves. I sat at the plaintiff's table with Daniel, who flipped through a thick folder of evidence. The paternity test results, copies of every child support check I'd ever written, detailed statements from Brandon about Emily's long-running affairs, and her bragging about the deception. Emily sat across from us with her own lawyer, looking anxious but still maintaining that defiant tilt of her chin, those cold eyes that had once looked at me with love. The judge, an older woman with sharp features and no-nonsense demeanor, called us to order. Daniel presented our case methodically and thoroughly, explaining step by step how Emily had defrauded me into believing I was Lucy's biological father, how I'd supported her financially for years based on this lie, even going to jail for missed payments when I lost my job. Emily's lawyer tried desperately to defend her, claiming she was genuinely unsure about Lucy's paternity and had acted in good faith throughout the marriage. Emily put on this fake, remorseful face for the judge, but I could see contempt flickering at the corners of her mouth, especially when she glanced my way. Brandon testified about Emily bragging at a party, letting slip she was sleeping with Cole while passing Lucy off as mine for financial gain. When the paternity test was entered into evidence, Emily's facade cracked completely. The judge spoke with her gaze pinned on Emily. "Based on documentation and testimony, you knowingly deceived Mr. Davis regarding paternity. You demanded child support under false pretenses, resulting in his incarceration. This is fraud. You will reimburse all child support paid. Additionally, given the severity of your deception, the court will refer this matter for criminal charges." Emily's face went slack, then twisted in rage. She pointed at me, spitting, "This is all your fault! You couldn't just accept that Lucy needed support! You're worthless!" The judge slammed her gavel. "Miss Davis, control yourself!" Another outburst, and I'll hold you in contempt. Emily was sentenced to 3 years for fraud. The bailiff led her away in handcuffs as she screamed, "You'll regret this. Mark my words." Here's the twist. I was granted temporary custody of Lucy. Cole, her biological father, never stepped up and wasn't interested in raising her. Even though she's not biologically mine, I'm the only dad she's ever known. That night, tucking Lucy into bed, she looked up and whispered, "Daddy, do you love me?" Her question punched me in the chest. "More than anything in the world, Lucy," I said, stroking her hair. She nodded, satisfied, and drifted off. Tears slipped down my cheeks because I realized none of the DNA drama mattered. She's my girl. I'm her dad. I'd walk through fire for her. Months later, Emily tried appealing from prison via video conference, claiming she was wrongly convicted and the test was tampered with. The judge wasn't swayed and affirmed my custody. Emily stared through the screen with hatred. "You're going to pay for this." I landed a new job at a smaller firm. My parents help with bills. Lucy adapted surprisingly well, sometimes asking when mommy's coming home. I explained that mommy can't be with us right now. She's too young for the truth. Biology isn't everything. Love makes a parent, and that little girl who still calls me daddy is worth everything I went through.